So let's start. We will chant Om 3 times, followed by the invocation shlokas. Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Hi everyone, good evening and welcome back. So we are covering Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, right? So where we are is that Bhagavan has talked about Karma Yoga, and he talked about the importance of the Karma Yoga, and what he concluded saying is that in verse number 53, that when someone performs this Karma Yoga properly, their intellect, their buddhi will become achalam, means unshaken, and their mind is can go into samadhi, and it will be quiet, and that way they are going to attain the moksha very soon. So when this is said, Arjuna got interested in terms of understanding who are these people and what are those their characteristics. The idea of questioning for him is that interest is, I want to be like that. Now, if I want to emulate someone great, I need to know how they are. Okay. So with that, he asked a question in verse 54, that Sita Prajnasaka Bhasha Samadhistasya Keshava Sitadhi Kim Prabhasheta Kimasita Vrajeta Kim. So he asked 3 questions. Tell me more about this Prajna. So how do they speak? How do they sit? And how do they wander about? So how do they speak is, you speak based upon what you think, and your thought determines who you are. So it is essentially trying to understand how these people are from inside, and how does one sit? One sit in the sense, when, how do they react to any situation? So when you are sitting, why sitting was used is that things keep happening even when you are sitting alone, I believe. Okay. The world, whether we are working or not, the world around us changes and it impacts us. So how does he react? So when he hear good news, how does he react? When he hear a bad news, How does he react? Is he worried about about an unfair treatment? So all of this kind of question, right? And then how does he wander about? Meaning, how does he be? How does he live proactively? So if we look at all our actions in our life, either we are doing proactively something or we are reacting to something. So now, how does he act proactively? How does he react? And then what is his inner nature? So this is the essence of his question. So by asking these three questions, essentially he's asking about, tell me everything about Sita Prajna. That is the question. Now, when that question has asked, Bhagavan started saying, Prajahati yada kaman. We chanted this shloka in last session. Okay. So we won't chant it today, but we will cover this. Right? So Bhagavan said, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmanyevatmana tushta sthita prajna tad uchyate. So here, first, Bhagavan is trying to define who this sthita prajna is. So the definition, usually what happens when we say definition, right? Usually you probably in English, in modern books, you'll say definition of force, double colon, and then you start writing the definition. And then you say, this is called force. Now, here, sthita prajna tada uchyate. So that means in this way, sthita prajna is defined, or this is how it is considered, sthita prajna. So that means that is what definition portion is. Now, what is the definition? Sarvan kaman manogatan prajahati. So, prajahati means giving up. And sarvan kaman, all the desires, manogatan, that are rising in mind, all of them are being given up. And we, when can we give up? So, we in the last session we're talking about is that to give up any, why, first of all, like when we say like, okay, we have a desire, that means that it implies that we have a ajnana, ignorance is there. How can we say a desire is made or is formed out of incompleteness? When I don't have something, I'm missing something, I want to get it. That is the basic anatomy of a desire. So that means what? I am lacking something. I'm incomplete. Now, when you say I am incomplete, the question is that who is incomplete? If I understand that I am Brahman, Brahman is Purnam, it is complete, then there's no desire. But if I don't understand that I am Brahman, then what am I thinking? I'm thinking that I am Jiva, I'm a limited being. So this ajnana or this ignorance is the root cause for desire. So when he gave up all the desires, meaning the desires don't sprout. See, sometimes what happens is that desires come in my heart, they rise in my mind, but I may think that, this is not appropriate. Oh, this is not appropriate at this age, or this is not appropriate because of whatever, right? Or I cannot afford it. So this way, I try to kill many desires that arise in me. So this is not what he's talking about. Here, for him, there is no desire at all. So when there is no desire at all, that means what? That Mahatma is realizing his completeness with the entire universe, right? So that is what this desire is, like when he says that there is no more desire. Okay. A question?
No, I think he adds two more things. He adds there should be no anger, there should be no fear other than the desires. And that's what I went through last time I studied that part of it.
Yeah, that
And
comes in the next one.
I think the desires are shooting from the sense organs. So obviously, if you can block the sense organs, then you don't see anything, you don't hear anything. You're completely, aligned with the Brahman, and that way you are disconnected with all other input. And so that you have to basically obliterate all the sense, organs to get to that lack of desire. Because we are jivas, we are always constantly bombarded by the sensory input. And when the sensory input is eliminated, then the mind cannot react to anything external or internal.
Yeah, true.
So
So
I just
what
had a,
happens is that, sorry, Atulji, let me respond to Chanji. Chanji, you are right. What happens is that sensory inputs, when we avoid, new inputs are not there, but however, we have a huge bank of previous vasanas. They all erupt at appropriate time as a desire. So blocking sensory inputs is a good start, but that is not be all end all. Atul, you had a question? You had a
no, I
comment?
just wanted to take a step further from what Sandy said. So some of the Indriya Nigraha and the Mano Nigraha, which is what Sandy is talking about, is required as a preparation for realization that you mentioned, the Mahatmas or Sita Prajna. So am I correct in saying, Venkatji, that it's not that he is giving up the desires are just dropping off him as he recognized himself as a realized Brahman, which
Yes.
he now understands is complete, and therefore the desires just gets dropped off rather than him giving it up. Is that the pure, is proper?
That is correct. Yes. So I was also coming to the same point, Atulji. So that is correct. So the thing is that it is not he's trying to, in the beginning, yes. Okay. In the beginning, as Chanji said, right? So we need to block as much as we can, as in like not desire suppression, but desire sublimation. However, when the knowledge occurs that this entire world is mithya alone, so any desire fulfillment is also mithya, desire unfulfillment is also mithya. So why should I have desire? When this thought comes, whatever thought arises, it has no impact on the seeker. So then the seeker doesn't need to worry about, oh, there is a desire for, I don't know, a particular material object, maybe a desert, right? So, but I need to stop. I shouldn't be eating dessert. No, that's not the case. It is simply that, okay, so well, what the dessert just it gives a temporary pleasure when it is on the tongue, but then afterwards there is no pleasure as soon as it passes through the tongue and goes into the throat. So why bother, right? So when you have that kind of a thought, then it doesn't the hold of desire is gone. So that idea that okay, so anything is temporary is the knowledge. So when that knowledge is becomes solidified, so then the hold of desire on us is going to become weaker and weaker. Okay.
And the direction of the desire should be towards Brahman. I think that's the one piece I missed. So instead of looking at the objects, which we don't have to be, worried about, but the concentration or the deeper, contemplation has to be towards the desire to be with the God or be. I mean, or we are that. That desire is to be Brahman. I mean, I think that's the bottom line. Yeah. That should be the primary desire, let me put it. Yeah.
Very, very good point. I just want to make a comment on that. Here is a desire that needs to be dropped off of us through all this contemplation. However, initially for the sadhakas or the seekers, the desire, the mumukshutvam, is really an appropriate desire, correct?
Yeah. So that is where the next portion of the sentence is Atmanyeva Atmana Tushtaha.
Oh,
Right? So we haven't started there, but you guys,
sorry about that.
it's good. No, it's fine. So Atmani eva Atmana Tushtaha. So here Atma means what? Okay. Self. Atmani eva atmana tushtaha means self is happy in self. So self is happy in self means what? It doesn't make any sense. Okay. So then we need to understand what is this Atma. So in this particular sentence, Atmani eva atmana tushtaha, Atma came 2 times. First time when it said Atma, that meant that in the self. Atmana tushtaha means, so for example, you need to be happy with yourself. Okay, let's try to talk in plain English instead of using Sanskrit terms. You need to be happy with yourself, or like you need to be contented in yourself. What does that mean? What is the first you and what is the second you? The first you, see, the thing is that from a self perspective, like when we say, when you take Atma as Brahman, for Brahman, there is no need to be happy or sad. Okay, because that Brahman is in a always contented position, right? So there's nothing to feel happy about. There's nothing to feel sorry about. So then Atmani eva atmana tushta, like you have to be happy in you with yourself means what? Who is this you it is being referred to? The you should be, when we said you should be happy with, that you is referring to our ahankara. So that is our sukshma sharira. In our sukshma sharira, we have mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankara, right? So this mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankara, this what we call as karya karana sanghata. That is a term that is used to put all these pieces together, right? So that is like body, mind, intellect. Together it is called as karya karana sanghata. So all of this we need to. So Atma here is referring to Ahankara. First Atma. Atman, no, sorry. First you is referring to Ahankara. Second you is referring to Brahman, self, with capital S. So Atmani eva atmana tushtaha means first Atma is Brahman or real Atma. Second Atma is Hrudaya. Hrudaya means Ahankara. Okay. So now, so that means that how does this happen? I mean, it is easy to say, oh, you should develop love for God, or you should develop love for this. How do you develop love for anything? So, if you say, I mean, if someone says, okay, you better start loving pizza, so now you are in US, or now that you are in Italy, you better start loving pizza. Just because that is said, you can't start loving pizza. Okay, just because it is said, right? So love happens. Love is not something that you can force upon. Then how does this love happen? Love is happened when you are trying to understand more and more about a particular subject. And as you are understanding more about it, you want to learn little bit more, and you are thinking about it and reveling in its wisdom. That is where love starts to happen. So the more time you spend in it, slowly the love is generated towards that object. Now, when we say Atmani eva atmana tushtaha, that means I need to understand who the real Atma is and what this Ahankara is. Because today, when I say I am Venkat, I'm not really talking about Satchidananda Brahma Swarupa. All I'm talking about is my Antakarana, my Ahankara. That's what I'm talking about. I'm identifying with my Ahankara and I'm saying that I am Venkat. Oh, I am so and so, like my age is this, my gender is, my color is this. All of that is with respect to my Ahankara only I'm talking. Never with respect to, unless we are talking about a Vedantic discussion like this, never in my day-to-day life, I'm referring to myself from the point of view of Atma rather than Ahankara. So the more I look at myself as Atma and not Ahankara, and I try to understand more about the nature of Atma and the limitations of Ahankara, that is where I start finding more and more love for this Atma. So that means what? I have to put more and more effort and more sadhana towards this finding who I really am. The more time I spend, the more love I get. So this is so what happened to these people? In they're always happy with themselves. I think like they're always reveling in their own real self. When they are reveling in their own self all the time, that means what? They have completely given up external samsara. So this is another. So now, what was the definition that Lord Krishna gave? Sita Prajna, Prajahati Yada Kaman, Sarvan Partha Manogatan. Okay, so Partha is referring to. So he has given up all desires that are coming up rising in mind, so that like there's actually no desire rising from mind. And second thing is Atmani eva Atmana Tushtaha. So then he's reveling. So basically, give up Maya and hold on to Brahman. Right? This whole thing in Anek actually like Puja Gurudev summarizes in 2.5 words. Okay. So actually it is shown in Anequest movie also. Someone asks, what should be my sadhana or something like that? How can I reach God? Or what should be my sadhana to reach God? He simply says, detach and attach. Detach from the world and attach to Brahman. So this is the essence of that, the definition of this Stita Prajna.
I wanted to talk about how to create love for God, because this is a very heavy duty challenge. And because, as you said, how do we suddenly start loving something? And of course, we love our people that are around us, our families, spouses, children, which is one kind of love. And at some point, I mean, the only thing is what I have learned is from that you need a guru. And I think if you need a guru to start doing everything for the guru and love guru, that is the, what happens when you have no guru, because that's one of the pathways to develop, that love. And of course, your devotion, and you serve the guru, you do everything that you do for Bhagavan. So you become closer and closer to achieving that, love and closeness and, connection to the God, Brahman. So that's the problem, is people like us who do not have gurus, and we are not blessed with that kind of experience.
Yeah. So someone like us, right? So someone like us who are more logical in thinking, more rational in thinking. Okay. Forget about guru. I'm not saying like forget about guru. If we don't have guru within our vicinity, if we don't have love for God, simple thing is that question. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Maitreyi Brahmana. In that, there is a discussion between Yajnavalkya and Katyayani. Katyayani is his wife, and he is teaching Brahma Vidya to her. So he says, why do you love anything? Whoever you love, whether it is your family, or whether it is people or person or places or anything, why do you love anything?
Attachment.
Because even the attachment also is because his analysis is that you love anything because that gives you happiness. whatever gives you happiness is what you love. In fact, he goes on, he makes a very, the Upanishad, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad makes a very a bold statement. He says, you love your husband, like he's telling his wife, you love your husband because you love yourself. You love your family. I mean, he's not just telling to Katyayani, he's talking to all of us, right? All jivas, not just even humans. We love whether our mother, father, son, daughter, wife, husband, anyone who are closer, because we love ourselves. Then the objection comes. What do you mean that? Okay. A mother, especially like, when selfless love comes into play, mother is a great example of selfless love. How can you say such a harsh statement? Don't you see the selfless mothers who, if in case of a danger, they would take away their child away from danger and they would rather they would die? How can you make that kind of a statement? And then the answer is that even that action is because the mother loved herself more than the child, and she cannot live by putting the child in danger later on, suffering. And for her, the best happiness that she can get is removing the child from the danger and rather she facing the danger. So even there, okay, there is love for their self. Even the person who commits suicide also, because they love themselves, they they are doing what they are doing because they think that, okay, so this is what is, by performing this action, I am getting rid of all of that my sorrows and I will not have to face sorrow anymore. And so because they want to preserve their happiness. So this idea, I mean, like, these are like extreme examples I'm quoting, because when we understand these extreme examples, everything else which are simpler use cases, all of them are based upon we love ourselves more than anything else. Another example that they give is, you won a lottery of, let's say, like $100 million. Okay. So $100 million is a lot of money. And you're happy, and then everybody has come, congratulated you, and like actually, and interestingly, nobody in the party wants nobody in the party wants your money at all. As in, like, nobody's there to ask a donation, though nobody's asking to give a part of it or anything like that, right? So they're really genuinely happy for you. You're having this great party. Now what? Party is going on for like your party started at 6. It is 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock now, midnight, 1 a.m. Now what do you want to do? There comes a time that you want to sleep. Now someone is saying, hey, don't go to sleep yet. Okay, let's talk. Okay, so we are so happy. Da, da, da. Yes, 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 I'm so happy. Yes. But then by 1:30, you're totally sleepy. And you by 2:30, you're totally cranky and you want to sleep, period. Why? Because we love ourselves. So these are so now, what is that love that we love ourselves? What is that part that we love ourselves in? The most pleasure that we get, according to Mandukya Upanishad, is when we are in deep sleep. When a person is in deep sleep is the most happiest moment, because there are no thoughts, the mind is absent, intellect is absent. There is no sense of I and my anymore there. And that state, you say whatever happiness you have in the world, but if you are sleepless, you're going to have you're never going to be happy. So that state is what, like, we love ourselves, right? So when we know, like, who is that I really am, and what is that happiness that I am really seeking? Once you start asking that question, automatically anything that is giving you temporary happiness or just acting as an agent of bringing happiness that is right within you, then you discard those. For example, someone says, I'll give you $1,000 per day, but you have to let this stranger sit in your living room for 5 hours every day. Okay. Then first day is fine, second day is fine. Third day, what do you want to do? What is the thought that arises in us? I want this $1,000, but I don't want this stranger in my living room. Right? So why? Because that is a nuisance. Having that stranger in my living room for 5 hours every day is a nuisance. But on the other hand, I want that money. Means what? Everything that is happening in our external world, in any transaction that we are having, for us to get that pleasure from outside world, we have to put a lot of effort. Right? When I stop putting, but if I'm able to find happiness right within me without having to put any effort in the outside world, with regards to making some with an intent to gain happiness, then what? Isn't that great? If I'm able to find happiness right within me, and I don't have to put effort for that in the outside world to gain happiness. So, and here Vedanta is saying that it is possible. Then when that is there, so now I can get rid of this. So this stranger in my living room is nothing but this external world. The happiness that I get is what, like the real happiness right within my heart, okay, should be independent of any external influence. So once you have that understanding, what happens is that you struggle to find your own self and trying to get rid of anything that is blocking between you and finding who you really are. Then that quest itself is love for the self. That quest is so love for Bhagwan. Because Bhagwan, when we say Bhagwan, who is Bhagwan? Okay, Krishna is Bhagwan, Rama is Bhagwan, or Vishnumurti is Bhagwan, Shiva is Bhagwan. But they're all part of what? Ishvara. Ishvara is what? Brahman associated with Maya. So essentially, ultimate Bhagwan is Brahman. And what am I? Independent of Brahman, I don't have any existence. Whatever existence is there for me, who I think that I'm an individual, blah, 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 all of that, that is nothing but Brahman alone. If I understand that I am that Brahman, then whether I talk about bhakti to God, this God, that God, etc., or whether I say like, okay, I want to find my true self, they both are one and the same. Right? So whether we go to temple and pray on a daily basis or sit in front of God and pray on a daily basis, we do japa. I'm not saying like don't do any of those. All of them are needed based upon where we are. I do whatever pujas I do every day. I don't go out without uh, doing puja. Okay, so I'm not advertising that I'm a bhakta or something. It is just that please don't think that oh, this guy is a Vedantin, he doesn't he neglects God. No, that's not the thing. See, like I understand that this is, even though I have the a little bit of this knowledge aspect is there, I still live in duality, and as long as I'm in duality, I see otherness. When I see otherness, why can't I see God as other also? Right? So yes, we still need to do the prayers and whatnot. So here, this is, so once you start thinking in this way, what happens is that the bhakti or the devotion or love, whatever the word we use, right? Whether it is love or devotion or anything or longing, right? Which is mumukshutvam. All of these are essentially taking us to our true self. So that's where like Atmani eva Atmana tushtaha. This you cannot force like, okay, oh, I should love God means it is not going to happen. Rather, I want to understand God comes from the knowledge that God is real, permanent, everything else is impermanent. Do I want to put effort on impermanent subject and run around this impermanent thing, or should I run around one ultimate thing and put the same effort and rather reach there as opposed to going all sideways?
Inkati?
And go
I
ahead.
would like to say something regardless with his questions, because for me it's like a very, yeah, like I resonate a lot with what he said. And for me it's also like building a relationship, like a personal relationship with God, either if you see it in a symbol or either uh, if you see it in nature, just the beauty of nature, or if you like a mantra that you like to do japa with. It's like any relationship, I feel. And at the same time, God is in every one of us. So in what you love as well of your daughter or your husband or your wife, it is God in themselves. So and that's also like that relationship. I feel like this is such an amazing opportunity that we can connect and be related with one another. And at the same time, it's like um I feel like it's a gift of God as well, like this lila, and being able to love one another is also a gift. But of course, like everyone is in God itself, right? So yeah, it's for me sometimes it's tricky, that question, and there has been years that I haven't gone from many years to a temple. Um, but I start seeing it in nature as well, or in the moments of peacefulness, or, just sitting a little bit in silence or meditation and feeling the gratitude just to being alive. So it's, I think, like each one of us has a unique way of relating with life or with God. So yeah, just that. Thank you for bringing that out.
Yeah. So again, like see, like Satyaji, what you're saying is absolutely right, right? So if you look at Tapovan Maharaj, who is Puja Gurudev's guru, he was a lover of nature. He always was in solitude, and he was wandering in Himalayas. Actually, there's a book written by from Tapovan Maharaj called Wandering in Himalayas, right? So he was always, back in the day, the India-China border was very porous, meaning it was easy to cross the border. Nobody cared, at least in that area. So he probably he was always in what you call it, Gomukh. Gomukh is where Ganga comes. Okay, Uttarakashi, Gomukh, or Kailas Parvat. So he was always between these three places, and he was traveling all around uh, in solitude. And at the same time, he was a great devotee as well. And in Uttarakashi, there was a temple, Shiva's temple, and he would go pray. Now you take Adi Shankaracharya ji. He always prayed, and he wrote more stotrams than anyone else, and he's a Vedantin as well. And he was teaching, and he was interacting with people, and whatever he did was for benefit of other people, because there is an inherent love for all people around him. So he so that love for seeing God in all people is what helped him write all those commentaries, all those texts that Prakana Granthas and Bhashyas, etc. Right, all of those were written. Now you see the same thing with Puja Gurudev. Uh, in our mind, he's a realized soul. As a realized master, he didn't say like, okay, I'm realized, I'm done, right? So rather, there is a, a love for everyone, because of which until the day of his Mahasamadhi, he tirelessly worked and he tirelessly taught Bhagavad Gita, Vedanta, Prakarana Granthas, Upanishads, all of this on a continual basis until his last breath, right? I mean, like while he is conscious. So that's what he did. And this is not just a Swami Chinmayananda ji alone, right? Whether it is Ramakrishna Paramahamsa ji, whether it is Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi ji, or whether you take like Jesus Christ or anyone, okay, any realized Mahatma, all of them have love for nature, have love for people all around them, have bhakti and jnana. So for them, all these four are not four different things, but they're all one. Unfortunately, because I means like all of us, right? So we are limited right now because of our own feeling. Because we are limited, we have to hold on to something that gives us easy hold. I mean, like easy, like something we can easily hold on to. So what is that you can hold on to? That is different for Chanji, to Atulji, to Satyaji, to Shobhaji, to Venkat, right? So each of us are different. So whatever I am holding on to is not necessarily right for you. Depending upon your mindset, you hold on to what is right for you. But eventually, no matter what we crutch we hold on to, eventually it has to take us to Bhagwan. And once we get to there, we don't need to hold on to anything, but we see everything as one and the same.
See God in everyone. That's all. That's the bottom line. Then there is no problem. There is no jealousy. There is no anger. There is no competition. But that is the ultimate message. But that's very tough. Being jiva, we fall back to our own self, ahankara, ego. I am better than you. I and mine. So that is where we have to conquer that and go beyond that. And that is what it's all our journey slowly to kind of transcend that.
Shall
Yeah,
we go to the next? Go ahead.
I, I remember one little story about a famous Zen teacher here in the United States, like Adi Shanti is his name. And he gave a talk about this. Like at the beginning, he said, we try to transcend attachments and, you know, desires. And we try to go higher and higher and higher. But he said, like, once we understand, once we attain realization, it's a process like coming back to your heart, like seeing God in everything and everyone, and integrating as human beings. So for me, that was very, very beautiful.
Very well said. Yeah.
So we'll chant the next shloka. So I'll break down the words first, and then we will one of you can repeat after me. So this is shloka number 56. So the first word is Dukkeshu Anudvigna Manaha. So it is Dukkeshu Anu. So actually, Anudvigna is also actually two words. Udvigna and Anudvigna, opposite of Udvigna. Okay, Dukkeshu Anudvigna Manaha. So there are three words in that one. Dukkeshu Anudvigna Manaha. Sukheshu Vigata Spruhaha. So Vigata Spruha is again two words. Vigata Spruhaha. Then Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha. There are actually four, made up of four words. Vita, Raga, Bhaya, Krodha. Then Sthitadhir Muni Ruchyate. So it is Sthitadhihi Munihi Uchyate. So they become Sthitadhir Muni Uchyate. So Dukkeshu Anudvigna Manaha Sukheshu Vikata Spruhaha Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha Sthitadhir Muni Ruchyate. This is the shloka. So does one of you want to repeat after me?
Sure.
Okay. Dukkeshvanudvignamanaha.
Dukkhesh.
Dukkeshu
Sukheshu vigataspruhaha.
Keshu vigata spruha
Vitaragabhayakrodhaha.
Bhitaragabhaya krodha
Hitadhirmuniruchyate.
Titadih munim uchyate.
So here, in the previous shloka, Bhagavan has given two indications. One is who is Sthita Prajna. One is Atmanyeva Atmana Tushtaha, and then Sarvan Kaman Manogatan Prajahati. Right? So that is giving up all the desires, as in like there are no more desires in the heart, and his mind is always in Atma. These are the two conditions. Then he continued saying that Dukkeshu anu udvigna manaha. So when there is a dukkha, in dukkha, dukkeshu means in dukkha. So what happens is that when there is a dukkha, what happens is that our mind is in sorrow, feels sorrow. So mind is manas and udvigna is sorrow, feeling sorrowness in pain. That's a common thing. But here, this Sita Prajna, what is he doing? His mind is not reveling in sorrow, meaning like his mind is not wallowing in pity or anything like that when there is a sorrow happening. Okay, so whether the sorrow can be like a physical world sorrow or a mental sorrow, or maybe, so that is like physical sorrow as in like, I got a hurt, or like physically hurt, or someone said something to me. So these are all adhyatmika, meaning within this, coming from within. Adi Bhautika is something that happened around me. So that means that maybe there is a theft or something like that, whatever, right? That is one. And then sometimes it could be Adi Daivika. Adi Daivika means acts of God. So that like, hurricane, the snowstorms, or any of those, right? So any kind of sorrow is there. He is not feeling sad. His mind is not feeling sorry. Okay, so mind is not distressed. Not only that, sukheshu vigata spruhaha. Sukheshu, meaning when there is a sukha, spruha is what spruha means. You are paying attention to it in such a way that you want to hold on to it a little longer. Vigata spruhaha means he is not, there is no desire or there's no intent to hold it on for longer. So there's a joy that has come. He did not care. There is a sorrow that has come. He did not care. He didn't mind. He did not care is not the right word. He did not mind whether there is a sorrow or this thing, right? So now that means that he's like a stone. He's like he doesn't have a heart or something. He doesn't feel anything because if there is a pain, why is he not feeling sorrow? If there is a pleasure, why is he not feeling happy? So that means that my understanding of such a person is he is cold person, or he is what you call like nowadays in psychology there are so many words, right? Yeah, emotional, there's no EQ, there's no emotional quotient for this person or whatnot, right? So many ways you can say. So is that what it is? No. Then why is he doing this kind of a thing? Because Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha. Okay. Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha. So why is he not worried in case of a sorrow, and why is he not ecstatic in case of happiness is, so there are four words. Vita, Raga, Bhaya, Krodha. So when I did not know much of Sanskrit, right? I understood Raga Bhaya, Krodha. But what is this Vita? What kind of thing is this Vita? Then much later on, I realized that Vita means without. Okay, because he gave up three things. He gave up Raga, Bhaya, Krodha. What is Raga? Raga means attachment. So Raga is attachment to something. That means that automatically there are what is the opposite of Raga in when we are studying Vedanta? Usually Raga is followed. Huh?
Dvesh. Dvesh.
Dvesha, right? Raga and Dvesha. So now, when he gave up Raga, oh, so he kept Dvesha because Dvesha is not mentioned here, right? No. Okay. What happens is Raga and Dvesha are two different points on the same scale. Okay. So if you have a measuring scale, so on one side is on one end is attachment, then I mean like a like, then the other end is dislike.
Mhm.
So basically they both are one and the same in different quantities. So he has given up raga and dvesha, means he has given up likes and dislikes. When you give up likes and dislikes, I mean, it's not like he has given up likes and dislikes, rather there are no more likes and dislikes. When is that possible?
Prajna.
Well, when you don't have any fear of anything, or if you don't have a lack of security, is when you're
When you
fearless.
get detached,
Hmm?
when you
So when you're detached from something, you don't have likes and dislikes. So for example, now imagine if for Satya's benefit, the local NBA team is Celtics, okay, for Boston. So pretty much all of us who are here in this call are Bostonians. So if Celtics is playing, let us say Lakers or the big team in the West Coast, or what?
Mavericks.
Huh? Yeah, like the Mavericks. Okay. When Celtics are playing Mavericks, and if you are watching the NBA, there's a lot of tension. Okay, are we going to win or are we going to lose? Are we going to win or are we going to lose? But on the other hand, let us say Golden State Warriors are playing, I don't know, Miami.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
Lakers,
Okay, or Lakers. Okay, so Golden State Warriors are playing Lakers. You're watching. Do you care?
You enjoy.
You just enjoy. Okay, so it doesn't matter to you because there is samatva. There you have a equanimity. At that time, you don't really care. So the lack of attachment or the absence of not lack, absence of attachment helps with equanimity. When you have equanimity, likes and dislikes are not there. So this Sthita Prajna has that samatvam, and because he is in samatvam, he doesn't have likes and dislikes. He has overcome likes and dislikes. That is Vita Raga. Then Bhaya. Bhaya means what? Fear.
fear.
Okay. So now fear. Now when does fear come? Fear is based upon two things. I love something that I could lose. Or I want something that I may not get it. These are the only two things because of which fear comes. These are the two root causes for fear. What if my child is not listening to me? So I have fear. What is it? I love my child and I'm afraid that he is not going to become a good person or successful person, and my my vision is that he is going to become successful person, and that vision of him becoming successful person, I'm going to lose. That is what is the fear, right? So in every fear, either it is not wanting to lose what I love, or not want, I don't want to get something that I don't want, right? So these are the two things. So this bhaya, now he is free from bhaya means what? Again, this goes to attachment, right? So if you're not attached to anything, then there's no fear of losing, there's no fear of not getting. There is bhaya. So he's without likes and dislikes, he's without fear. And then krodha. Krodha means what?
Anger.
Anger. Krodha, when does krodha come?
And desires are not fulfilled.
When my desire is not fulfilled. So that means that I have an expectation, and the failure, I mean, like a not unfulfillment of an expectation is causing the anger. So this unfulfillment of expectation, so expectation is based on what again? Okay, is that it has to happen this way. That means what? There's a particular like behind it. Okay? There's a raga is there, and that raga is not being fulfilled. If there is no raga, then there's no question of, there's no concern about whether raga gets fulfilled or not. So there is no krodha. There's no dvesha, then there's no concern about whether dvesha is going to, I mean, and then there's no dvesha, and then there is no bhaya. So then automatically there is no krodha. So when I don't have this raga, bhaya, krodha, what happened? Now let us go back to our first statement again, right? Dukkheshu anudvignamanaha sukheshu vikataspruhaha. When something sorrow has happened, something sorrowful has happened. Now now let us question, what is this something sorrowful happening means? Something bad happened. Something bad happened. Usually what it means is that I loved something, it is not there with me anymore. Or I don't want to get into something, situation, a bad situation, and I got into that bad situation. Right? So that is where sorrow happens. Now, if I don't have any likes or dislikes, there is no attachment, there is no love or hate, anything. So whatever happens, where is the question of feeling sad? First of all, there's no situation where there is dukkha. There's no situation where there is sorrow. When there is then why did this word dukkeshu anudvigna manaha is used? Why this phrase is used? Because if there is no sorrow at all for this Mahatma, why are you talking about in sorrow he's not disturbed? For that Mahatma, there is no sorrow. But people around him thinks that he has a sorrowful situation. And from their perspective, when he is quote unquote in sorrow, he is undisturbed, even in sorrow. But for him, there is no sorrow at all. See, there are like two different perspectives, right? You're able to follow both the perspectives?
Could you please repeat? Please repeat.
Yeah, I'm going to. See. In this statement, Dukkheshu anudvigna manaha, when that is said, why did he say Dukkheshu anudvigna manaha? Because from a jnani perspective, meaning from Sita Prajna perspective, he doesn't have any likes and dislikes. So when a sorrowful situation happened, did he actually anything sorrowful situation happen to him?
No, it doesn't come. I mean, it doesn't get attached to him at all in any way.
Right. So then there is no sorrowful situation for him at all. Okay.
No.
So then there is no question of being happy or unhappy about it at all.
Even that doesn't come at all, arise.
Right. But from a viewer perspective, like let us say, if you are observing a Jivan Mukta Purusha, you're seeing this Sthita Prajna.
Mm.
Okay. And when you are seeing this Sthita Prajna, you and I, from our perspective, he is in a sorrowful situation.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
how we connect
Yeah.
us.
So let us say this Mahatma had a ashram in Tampa. Okay. Hurricane Helen has destroyed his ashram. Now, what would you say? Poor Swamiji, huh? His ashram got destroyed. He is in so pain. Yes.
Yes, that's from our own
So from
standpoint.
our perspective, he has a sorrow and he is not impacted by that sorrow. But from his perspective, there is no sorrow at all.
Well, is that practically possible? I'm talking about the real world.
So
When somebody is confronted with such a thing, people will. I was reading Ramayana and I read when Dashrata passes away and the people collect, Bharata comes back, the expression used is, it's okay to feel sorrow for your love, but don't grieve about this loss. And he separates the two. The question is, sorrow, it's matter of attachment. Don't get attached to the sorrow. You have to feel the emotion. Don't get attached to the excitement or the euphoria. So don't feel happy, but there has to be an emotional response to a given situation. If you are flat, I think that is pretty much then you are Bhagwan. I mean, you are talking about that realized person who has really detached from the world, and he has no mind. He doesn't have any kind of, things. But as a human who has even achieved that level of progress, will react, and I think he will show some emotional response. If he doesn't, it's also a little abnormal.
So here, see, what is the shloka? What is the current context we are in? What is the shloka saying? This is defining who is a Sthita Prajna.
Right.
Okay. So this is the nature of Sthita Prajna. This is not the nature of Venkat or Chanji.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. So, and why are we learning about the nature of Sthita Prajna is because that is our goal. Okay? Now,
Ultimate goal.
Right, that is the ultimate goal. So here,
Yeah,
what happened?
Venkati, just something like I just did like the quiz of the second chapter, second part, and there was a question like that. Like is steady it was it was related with this if they feel sorrow, and we were like, oh, do they feel sorrow or not? And I think I put it as negative, but I have it wrong. So actually in the test it say like it can feel sorrow, but maybe that it doesn't get attached to that, or he doesn't suffer. I think like there is a differentiation between sorrow and suffering, perhaps, or I don't know. But
So,
I remember that question in the second.
okay.
So
So what is happening is that when you are sitting and observing your thoughts, you get so many thoughts. Some thoughts you identify with and some thoughts you reject. So whatever thoughts that you identify with, they are your thoughts and that is you. Okay. Some random thought, if something crops up and you don't give any importance to it, it will go away. Right? In the same way, when any sorrow comes or anything like, like when a situation happens, that Jivan Mukta Purusha, depending upon his previous vasanas that are still there, they may arise, a thought may arise, oh, this is bad. But he is not going to give any importance to it and it will go away. Okay. So that's why if you say like they are impacted, yes, they are impacted, but they are not really impacted. It depends upon perspective. Okay, so now, so this Dukkeshu Anudvigna Manaha is for this Mahatmas. For us, our goal is what? We need to not ape, imitate them like a ape. Rather, we should try to follow and understand and try to come to that state. Okay, so similarly, even though from our perspective, he got like a Sukheshu, he may get some Sukha, he may not feel any Sukha with that. Okay? So that's why they are untouched by either the Sukha or Dukkha. So that is why, because they are untouched by Sukha or Dukkha, because they don't recognize Sukha and Dukkha, they don't need to worry or they don't need to express joy either. If at all they worry, if at all they appear to worried, or if at all they express joy, that is to make people around them happy. Say, for example, you take some sweets to, when you see a Mahatma and you give them, maybe they don't eat it, maybe they don't dislike it, or maybe they're diabetic, okay, maybe they like it. No matter what it is, when you give them, what are they going to say? Oh, thank you. Oh, they're so nice. And that is said that these sweets are nice, etc. All those things are said to make you happy, but for them, the
That's a very
presence of the deserts or absence of deserts really doesn't matter.
very good.
Okay.
Well explained. Well explained. Yes.
I have a small event to share with you. This is personal, but I don't want to inflate my ego here, but I just want to give you a small incident. This was a few years ago. My car was parked on a main street. It was 6 o'clock in the evening, August, beautiful sunshine. And I had a new car. It was only a few months old. And somebody comes and bangs the car on the back. The rear of the car is damaged. And this is, my family had come from India. They were visiting us, and one of them was sitting in the car. And as we were walking, we were going to the CVS pharmacy and driving towards my car, which is parked there. So I see this guy had banged the car, and my people that were with me, the family from India, they became obviously very reactive. I said, oh my God, what happened? But I don't know, for whatever reason, I had a peaceful even. I mean, I didn't react. I didn't go after, curse the guy or become mad. I said, okay, what happened? So, I don't know, he had a blank face. And I mean, there were two people sitting. The driver didn't know what he had done. I mean, he felt bad. So we exchanged paper. I didn't get the police. And my family is telling me, you had no reaction. You didn't go up. I said, what am I going to do? The damage is done. All it has to do is now, it has to be fixed. I am not going to go back and get the car in the shape it was. It will be fixed. And they were kind of feeling very, what is this guy doing? He has no, he had no reaction to the whole event. And so, I mean, I don't know, in a perspective, I kind of realized, my goodness, I did kind of seem to handle the situation reasonably in a meaningful way, because there was no point in arguing with him, fighting with him. All we needed was insurance information. And it was finally taken care of. But there was some sense of, but what? What are you going to do?
Yeah. Again, that's exactly like, that's once we, again, like, how did you come to that realization is, if you think about it, Chanji, is right. There's a knowledge that, okay, so this is outside of our control. Because something is outside of our control, there's nothing that can be done. We cannot go into past and fix it. So rather, what needs to be done in this situation, you took appropriate action as needed, right? So that is exactly is what the shloka is asking us to do. And as we do more of those on a regular basis, as we react in the same way for all good or bad things that are happening, then automatically, eventually we will get to the state of Sthita Prajna. I know we took a lot more time than usual. So shall we pause for today?
Yeah. I think this was important because these are the most important elements of day-to-day life. How do we really do the tapasya that we have to do? What path? How do we really formulate these kind of small steps, tools to get better at doing it? That's all I mean.
So Sthita Prajna doesn't label, this is good or bad, or this likes or dislikes, or is it true? We are kind of used to with experiences,
Yeah. So, okay. So good or bad is what? Okay. So from a Vedantic perspective, there is no good and bad. There are only actions and consequences. Whatever we are experiencing is because of some action that we have performed in the past. It is what we think is a good result, or like, luck. Okay. Good luck is nothing but fructification of some action that we performed in the past. Whatever is bad luck is also fructification of some action that we have performed in the results of an action that we have done in the past. That's all. Okay. So there's nothing in this is even in a situation which we feel that it is arbitrary and very random. There is no such thing such as randomness in this universe. Okay.
Everything is predetermined. It's just that how do we handle it? And that's what we are learning. How to make things better, but whatever challenges come our way, how to manage them the best way possible. That's all. Because otherwise we have to suffer based upon our karma, whatever has happened with it. Okay, let's conclude.
So in fact, in Mahabharata, Lord Krishna tells that Duryodhana was not killed by Bhima or Pandavas or anyone, but Duryodhana was killed by himself when he did things that he did, whether it is trying to disrobe Draupadi in the Sabha, or did whatever bad things done. Those by in the performance of those bad things itself, he created a result, the karma phala, which came to him, which was served to him in due course of time. So in our Vedanta, again, see, we don't believe in duality of good and bad. It is that whatever type of action you do, the similar reaction you will get. Right? So even in Christianity, there is something similar line, like you sow what you reap, so you reap what you sow, or something like that. So
thank you.
Om. पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ
Thank you, everybody.
Hari Om,
Hari
everybody.
Om,
Hari
thank
Om.
you.